Crossroads Community Church. We are so glad that you decided to check us out. You are invited to visit us in person at 9 or 11 a.m. on Sunday mornings. If you would like to partner with us in our mission to connect others with God, you can visit us on our website at www.crossroads.cc and click on the Online Giving tab. We hope you enjoy this sermon from our most recent service.
Well, good morning, Crossroads. This morning, myself and 34 others are 3,536 miles away from you in Nicaragua. And we're at a church service as well, but the cool thing is that we're worshiping the same God, the God of the nations, the one true God. I found this verse this week. It says, "Sing to the Lord a new song. Sing to the Lord all the earth. Sing to the Lord, praise His name. Proclaim His salvation day after day. Declare His glory among the nations, His marvelous deeds among all people. For great is the Lord, and most worthy of praise." This morning, we're there worshiping the same God that you are, and I would really like to be with you this morning. I'm excited about what's going to happen at Crossroads today. You are still in the Not Normal series, and today's message is called Not Normal Families, and you're going to be so blessed today. I've invited one of the most not normal people that I know, and one of the most not normal families I know, Lori and Jeremy Wall and their kids. They love Jesus. They love to teach their kids about Jesus. They do things that are completely not normal as they talk to their kids about Jesus. And so this morning they're going to share some of those things with you. And so I'm excited about what's going to happen. You'll be blessed, and it's going to be a great day. So why don't you guys all come together and let's welcome, with a great welcome, Crossroads welcome, Lori Wall to the stage this morning.
Thank you. Thank you, guys. Good morning. Thank you for the warm welcome, and I'm really excited about honoring and celebrating the not normal group of people, because all month long we've been celebrating not normal groups of people, superheroes. And today, when they told me who we were honoring, I said, well, I've worked alongside these superheroes for 23 years and counting. And this group of superheroes, they encourage, they inspire, they instill possibility and wonder and curiosity in young people. They support their ability to problem solve and collaborate, communicate. They work days and nights and weekends and summers, even though you might not think so. They choose to spend their own money on classroom supplies, materials, and books for their students. They choose to spend their free time working on lessons, attending professional development to get better at their craft. They show up at events for their students. Many of us could probably share a story of someone that's left a mark and shaped your life in some way, one of these superheroes, and I know I can. And so today we want to honor and celebrate this not normal group. And if you're a teacher or a teacher assistant or an administrator, would you please stand? Is there any? Let's recognize. So if you would remain standing, and we'd like to pray over you. Father, we just thank you so much for the people around this room that feel called to serve in education, in the field of education. And we are thankful for their tireless efforts to speak into the lives of young people, guide and direct their work as they begin this new school year and welcome new kids into classrooms. We ask that those that are far from you, they see grace, your mercy, and your love through their actions and their words this school year. We thank you and we love you. It's in your name that we pray. Amen. Thank you guys again. Let's give them one more round of applause. So we're continuing our series, like Pastor Aaron said, called Not Normal. And we've been reading verses from Matthew chapter 7 all month long, verses 13 and 14. And it says, "Enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it." So there's this gate that is wide and broad, and if you find yourself being normal, you're on that road. But there's another road, and the gate's smaller and it's narrow, and only few will find it, and these are the not normal people. It leads not to a life of destruction, but to life. And we're talking about getting on that road. And when people see us, followers of Jesus, they say, there's something different about you. There's something good different about you. And they say, I want that. And we get to tell them that it's about Jesus. So we've been using the phrase throughout the series, if you want what normal people have, do what normal people do. But if you want what few people have, then do what few people do. So today I'm going to share with you, we're going to talk about what not normal families do. So I don't know what a regular week in your household looks like, but my husband and I both work. Our son is involved in many different sports, including Upward Soccer. So if you haven't registered, you may register after service. He takes piano lessons. My daughter is in gymnastics and music class. During the school year, we sign permission slips. We make a lot of lunches, and the list goes on and on. And have you ever stopped in the quiet of the night and said, where has the time gone? I know I have. And so our son, Reagan, he's 9, and he'll be going into 4th grade this year. And Kenzie, she just turned 3. And at Crossroads, you have heard us talk about these marbles and how they represent each week in a child's life from birth to 18. And in this jar of marbles, there are 936. They represent the 936 weeks that we have. And boy, that clock, it starts ticking down. And so for Reagan and Kenzie, we have 716 weeks left until she turns 18. And for Reagan, as you can see, the jar begins to look a little bit more empty. There's 403 weeks before Reagan turns 18. And so when I first thought about this visible countdown clock, I think I cried a lot. So hopefully I'll pick your spirits back up, because the more I reflected, I realized when we see how much time that we really have left, we tend to do more with the time that we have now. Now, don't get me wrong. There will be hundreds of more hours that we'll be running, from swimming to wrestling to soccer to music to gymnastics, and we'll pack lots of more lunches and sign more permission slips. But that's really where normal families, that's how they live and sound. But when I think about not normal families, we think about what Moses shared thousands of years ago. And in Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 4 through 8, it says, Hear, O Lord, hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord alone. And you must love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your soul, and all your strength. And you must commit yourselves wholeheartedly to these commandments I am giving you today. But in verse 7 and 8, he says, repeat them again and again to your children. Talk about them when you are home, and when you are away on a journey, and when you're lying down, and when you are getting up. Tie them to your hands as a reminder. Wear them on your forehead. Write them on the doorpost of your houses and on your gates. He points out this responsibility they had and that we have, not only to obey these commandments ourselves, but to share them with our children. And he was very specific about the timing, when we lie down, when we wake up, when we're on a journey. And when I read these words, we think back to the creation story in Genesis. And it says in Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw that it was good. Then he separated the light from the darkness, and he called the light day, and he called the darkness night. And together they made up one day. If we jump ahead to verses 16 and 17, he said, God made 2 great lights, the sun and the moon, to shine down upon the earth. The greater one, the sun, presides during the day. The lesser one, the moon, presides during the night. And in verse 19, it says this all happened on the 4th day. And it's really no accident that our earth spins on its equator at approximately 1,000 miles per hour, causing the appearance of the sun to rise and set with mathematical accuracy. And it's no accident that the earth moves through space at the speed of 67,000 miles per hour, causing the seasons to change in a very calculated manner. So it was really no accident when Moses said you should talk about these commandments when you're home, on a journey, lying down, getting up, because God structured the rhythm of the day and night to allow for these routine times, for us to leverage and to influence our children so that they can understand and know and seek God and love Him with all their hearts, minds, and strength. Every day, kids are getting up, they're lying down, they take naps. They have a rhythm of when your family eats meals throughout the day and a rhythm of when you're on the road back and forth. And so if you don't have kids, or you might be an empty nester, you've already started to tune me out. So I need you to tune back in, because Moses was talking to not just parents, but to the entire community. He was sharing that it was our collective responsibility to teach these commandments to our kids. So today, if you don't have your own children, or if you're an empty nester, who can you think about? Your nieces, your nephews, your best friends' kids, or I know a few kids that I think you can think about today. So if you're a preschooler and you're in here, if you're an elementary student, a middle school student, or a high school student, where are you? Yell to me. It's okay to yell in church right now. Yeah, do you see them? They're around the room. So we have kids. Look at the kids around the room that you can pour into. Imagine the collective momentum if we all invested consistently in the lives of children right here in the room. And so I want to share with you 6 ways that not normal families can show a child why they matter to God, and over time help and shape their character and faith. Normal families, they may do these things occasionally or randomly, but not normal families, they're consistent and intentional. And when you think about these marbles, these 936 marbles that we have, normal families, they're losing their marbles and they're missing out on moments. Not normal families, they recognize the moments and they make them count. And so the first way that we can show a child that they matter to God is providing love over time. So God shares the first commandment is to love Him with all your heart, your soul, and strength. And the second commandment is to love our neighbor. But what is love? It's more than an emotion or saying the words, I love you. Love's an action. And how we prove our love to a child is through our physical and consistent presence in their life. So I juggle a really crazy work schedule, and when I open the door to come home from work, I'm really intentional. I put my bags down and I try to wait until I need to continue something that might not be done until my kids have gone to bed, because I want to take time with them, to play a game, to snuggle up, to read, to be present. By being physical and consistently present, and by doing so week after week after week, those moments, they build a sense of worth in each of them. And what's amazing is that even as an adult, it wouldn't be odd of my mom and dad to drive an hour from where they live in Virginia Beach and for them to show up with a pot of soup and leave it on my front porch when I'm sick, or they just come over and just swim for an hour and chat. Because not normal families, they show up physically and consistently week after week because it lets kids know they matter. Love over time equals a sense of worth. So the second way we can really think about letting kids know they matter are our words. Words over time. Words have power. I'm sure you can think of someone in your life that said something to you that shaped the direction of your life. And today we recognize educators. And for me as an educator, I can think about several teachers whose words shaped the direction of my career. I also think about all the time our family spends driving in the car throughout the week. And when I think about words over time, I also think about the song lyrics to worship songs. They play an important part of the rhythm in our week. One of the first things my son will do when we get in the car is say, "Can I have your phone?" And I'll say, "Sure." And it's not to play a game or to watch something, but it's instead to play our favorite songs. So if you're driving with us, you would hear every word to every Need to Breathe song and probably hear Hills and Valleys right now 3 times. And so Kenzie also, she loves to sing the songs over and over and over that they're teaching them in kids' community week after week. Not normal families, they're intentional with their words so that they can help kids reason through problems and provide direction to navigate through difficult situations. They spend time reading the Bible, teaching their children how to pray so that they can learn to use their words to express their faith and what they believe in. Words over time, they equal direction. So as you reflect upon these 2 ideas, I want you to know that when I say consistently and intentionally, I don't mean perfectly. Not normal families, they'll have days. We don't say things that are right. We miss opportunities, but words, they provide an avenue to repair and restore and heal. We can say words like, "I'm sorry," "How can I help you?" There are days that not normal families won't be present for things for one reason or another, but it's more about being aware and doing your best to make the most of every week. So when you think about this 3rd way to show up, to show kids that they matter to God, think about stories over time. And so when I was pregnant with Reagan, my husband Jeremy, he came home, and in the door he comes, and he's got headphones and this pack of books. And every night when we got home from work, he would put the headphones on my belly, and he would start reading. And our children, they really had no chance from getting away from stories because I have spent half of my career studying literacy and was a reading specialist at the time I was pregnant with Reagan. And so stories have really been a foundation in our home. But as Reagan and as Kenzie is gaining language and asking the why questions, it led to storytelling moments about our family, about culture, about life. How does your daddy meet? Tell us about the day I was born. Over and over and over. What did you like doing when you were growing up, Mama? Stories stretch the imagination. They develop empathy. So when you think about it, God wired all of our brains to receive and understand story. And as not normal families, it's really our responsibility to point back to our children how God's story plays out in their lives. Because stories over time equal perspective. So when you think about this next way, I really struggle with this one. Fun over time. My 3-year-old uses her words to communicate a lot, and mostly right now they're commands. And one thing I really hear her say a lot is, "You sit down, you play with me." And she welcomes me into her space, but 1 minute we're playing Play-Doh. The next minute there's stickers. 5 minutes later we're playing hide and seek. And for my son, he loves board games. And not just any board games. No. Board games that require us to watch YouTube videos to get the gist of how to play. And I admit, it's an area where I've struggled because I often try to talk him into the game I want to play and one that doesn't take 4 hours. But my husband is the one who keeps buying these games. And I'm learning that we need to prioritize for joy in our homes. Not normal families, they prioritize for joy, but joy by creating wonder and fun experiences through the lens of the child, and not necessarily what I think fun is. We know in every phase that fun is going to look and sound different. And so we need to be intentional week after week to think about what that experience would be through the lens of a child, because we can build common interest with our kids all along the way. Because fun over time, it equals connection. And so we're going to follow fun with work overtime. When you contribute to the world, what you do with your life, you really feel like you have a sense of significance. So we give them chores. We want to get them plugged into mission efforts of things that connect them to a greater purpose. Everyone wants to feel significant and feel that they have value to offer. My husband this summer had a group of boys for a week-long summer camp at our house. Yes, a week-long summer camp at Camp Wall. And the kids went to the local Boys and Girls Club, and they ran games and activity stations for young children, as well as helped our friend Amber, who is building their house. They swept up debris, they pulled nails from the wood, they picked vegetables from her garden, and it was just joyful and amazing to see how they felt in contributing to their community. And several teenagers are right now in Nicaragua sharing the gospel with kids over 3,000 miles away. What not normal families do is provide opportunities for kids to contribute. And that doesn't mean that you have to run a summer camp at your house. It could simply mean getting involved with our local Crossroads mission and our effort to collect book bags and school supplies for children in our community at Epps Elementary School, or baking cookies for your neighbor. Because work over time, it equals significance. And the final way we can think about how we can show kids that they matter to God are creating tribes. Tribes over time. We need tribes to be a part of the best moment of our children's lives, to enrich their experiences. But we also need people besides us as their parents to speak into their lives during pain and failures. Even as adults, we need and we desire a tribe. Every one of us wants to belong and say, these are my people. For my husband, Danny Reagan, who was a local pastor, was part of his tribe. And he spoke into his life so much that we named our son Reagan after him. And as I shared a few minutes ago about stories over time, he often shares stories about how Danny impacted him while he was a part of his tribe. And in my own children's lives, they not only are surrounded by extended family like their grandparents or aunts and uncles, but we have church family and a close-knit group of friends that are a part of their tribe and speaking into our kids' lives week after week. When you don't find a place for your kids to belong, they will find a place to belong on their own. And the younger that they are, the more control we have over their tribe. But by elementary school, not normal families, they're intentional about inviting other adults to speak into their children's lives, like small group leaders and coaches, family, and friends. And that's where you all come in. Whose tribe are you part of? How we build a tribe over time, it equals a sense of belonging for our children. So when not normal families combine these 6 things, love and words, stories, fun, work, and tribes, over time, they gain collective momentum to help build children's character and faith. And not normal families, they choose to invest in what they cannot see, and they trust that their investment will ultimately see a return. What we do each week, it matters. Let this week, as we look at these marbles, and every other week count. So I'd like to close today with asking my husband, Jeremy, if he would pray with us this morning.
Thank you, Lori. I appreciate your message. It takes a lot of courage to get up here to speak in front of everybody and to share a little piece of yourself. So if everybody just give my wife a round of applause.
Thanks.
So I love my family. I ask you guys to love us too in all our craziness, and we will be committed to you as well. Around the room today, you'll see some people who are here to pray for your family. So walk up to them. Let them pray for you. Let them pray for your children or for your grandparents or for your families. Allow them to do that. Let me pray. Father, thank you for the time that we have for these marbles, these weeks. Thank you for the rain that falls to this earth, for life, and for these moments. I just ask that you would pour into our families here at this church and into this church, that our families would be a banner, a light to the community around us, to Yorktown, to Newport News, to Hampton, that our families would be filled with the love that can only come from your Holy Spirit. I appreciate all that you've done for us and all you will do. Any of the families, just pour into them. A single mother fighting to raise her children, a father that feels disconnected to his family, Lord, grandparents that are still seeking to love their children, Lord. The single people in this church, let them pour into our children. For your glory, for your kingdom, Lord. Amen.